Hey, Charles here. So in this video, you are going to run Tailwind CSS in React by creating this simple one color web app. And this web app will have a simple theme switcher, just like this one, implemented using Tailwind CSS and React. So you'll see how we can do this, and then we'll also be able to implement different routes and show the active route using a simple indicator, which we will design using our custom classes in Tailwind CSS. So I'll show you how to customize your own Tailwind CSS classes, and we can be able to implement a simple nav like this one with an indicator. And even when I use a different way of navigating to a different route, you can see the indicator still works. Another thing is that I'll show you how to make your web app to be mobile responsive in Tailwind CSS. So if I go to smaller screens, we can change the layout of our content just like that. So this is a very simple web app, but I believe that this is one of the best videos here on YouTube that will help you to get started with Tailwind CSS in React. So follow along and run as much as you can. So the next thing that we are going to do is to create a new React app as well as install Tailwind CSS and configure it. Now, right here, I am at the official website of Tailwind CSS, which is tailwindcss.com. So what you need to do is just to go to docs, then you'll see installation, and down here you'll see different ways in which you can get started with Tailwind CSS. For our case, we are interested with frameworks and specifically create React app. So I'll go to create React app, and these are the steps that we need to follow for us to install and configure Tailwind CSS. The first step is to create a React app. So just run npx create React app, then the name of the application, then cd into your application. And I have already done this. So if I open my VS Code, I have my React app here, and yeah, I called it React Tailwind. Now the other step is to install Tailwind CSS. So we need to run this command npm install -d Tailwind CSS. We will also install post CSS and auto prefixer. So this is just some other dependencies that are needed for us to work with Tailwind CSS. So just copy this command. I'll copy that, then I'll go ahead and paste it here, and I'll hit enter. So once this is done, we can go to the next one, which is this one. And what this will do is that it will generate a tailwind css.config file and post css.config file. So just copy this command and then just paste it here and hit enter, and that will generate those two files right here. And now when you look at our side, you'll see we have now postcss.config and tailwindcss.config. Now we move to the third step here, configure your template paths. And we need to do this at tailwindcss.config. So if we open tailwindcss.config file here, you'll see at the content, we don't have anything. So we need to configure the files that will be making use of Tailwind CSS. So right here, I'll just copy this content, and then I will replace this content with whatever I copied. And here we have a JS file, JSX, TS, TSX. I'll save that file. Then let's move ahead to the next step. The next step, we need to add our Tailwind directives to our CSS. So all we need to do is to move to index.css, and then we will add these directives, base, components, and utilities. So I'll just copy that, then go to our index.css file right here, and I can just remove everything that I have here and paste whatever I just copied. And all you need to do is to save that file. The other step is to start the building process. So now we start working on our project. So for the configuration of Tailwind CSS, it's just these 3 steps, and I promise you that these configuration are worth it, because now we'll be able to make use of Tailwind CSS and build our applications even much faster. So let's just start the app. So right here at the terminal, I'll just go ahead and run npm start. Now you will see that my application has successfully started, but we need to test whether Tailwind CSS is working or not. So if I come back here, you'll see that Tailwind CSS is all about using class names. And now these are called utility classes, and they are low-level classes which do exactly what you instruct them to do. For example, right here you can see we have font bold. So this will simply turn this font into bold, and this gives you more control of how you create your components, and this helps you to customize your components more than you will do in a framework like Bootstrap. So you have more control in Tailwind CSS than in Bootstrap. So right here we can add this underline to our app and see whether it will underline our text. So I'll come to app.js, and now right here where we have app, I'll also add an underline class. So I'll say underline. So you can see I have this IntelliSense. For now you may not have it, but next what I'll be showing you is how to install and configure it. But in this case, let me just click underline, then I'll save. Then I'll make sure that this file is saved as well, and go back to our app here, and now you will see that we have this dark underline under our text, and also now we have learn React as underlined. So Tailwind CSS is working. So now to configure Tailwind IntelliSense, and the IntelliSense is when I start typing right here, you'll see that we have this pop-up with cool suggestion of different utility classes that we can make use of, and you can see we also have the explanation of each class at the side. So for example, pt-6 will stand for a padding top with these 1.5 rem, and this is so powerful because if I start typing maybe mt, this is margin top, and so on. So let's first configure this IntelliSense, or rather I show you how to do it. Okay, so it's pretty simple. We have an extension for that. You can just search for Tailwind here, and you should see Tailwind IntelliSense. So here we have Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. Go ahead and install it, but we also need to do a further configuration for this to work. So what you need to do is to hit Ctrl Shift P to open the command palette, and then right here you'll search for settings. Okay, look for preferences, open settings JSON, click on that, and what you should add is this right here. Okay, copy this exactly the way it is. Tailwind CSS dot include languages, then you will include JavaScript and HTML. Then you'll add editor dot quick suggestions, and you'll set strings to true. And once you do that, close your editor, then open it again, and you should be able to start seeing those IntelliSense once you start using utility classes. Okay, which is pretty cool. Okay, cool. Now let us start working on our one color web app, which I showed you at the very beginning of this video. So for that, we need to, maybe do a bit of cleanup. I'll go ahead and clean everything that I have right here. Also, I will remove this class name, and then I'll remove the logo here and actually delete it from here. Also, another thing that I might delete, so I'll hit Control, is app.css. Yeah, let me just delete those two. So I'll delete them. Now, the first thing that we need to do is to configure our routes. Okay, so for us to configure the routes, I'll go ahead and install React Router DOM. So I'll open a new terminal and I'll say npm I React Router DOM, and now this is version 6. Okay, this is version 6. In case you are watching this in future, or in case you are used to version 5, you need to upgrade to version 6. Then the next thing that I'll do, I'll just go ahead and create a new folder right here called components, and I'll also create another folder outside our components, but inside the SRC, called pages. Now inside the pages, I'll add a new file, so we'll have home.jsx. I'll add another file. We will have shop.jsx, and then I'll add another file which will be contact.jsx. Okay, now let us create these components. So I'll just make use of sfc, which is a stateless functional component here, and I'll say home, and right here I can just include a h2 to have a placeholder for a home. I'll go ahead and save that and actually copy that, then go to shop, paste everything, highlight home, and change all the text here to shop, then save that, go to contact, paste everything, highlight home, use Ctrl D to select everything and change everything to contact. I'll save that. Cool. Now let us register our routes for all this. We'll do that in app.js. Make sure that it has completed installing React Router DOM. So at app.js at the top, and actually I'll remove this import, we don't need it. So at the top I will import these components from React Router DOM. We have browser router, we will have routes, then we will have a route, and all these will be from React Router DOM. I'll save. Cool. Now inside our div here, we will wrap everything inside our browser router, and then right here we will register our routes. So I'll have routes like that, and we can create a route. So this is how we do it. We use the route component, which will be self-closing, but now we pass some props here. So the first prop will be the path, and we want to have the root path as our home. So right here we have an element prop where we pass our components. So right here I'll pass the home component. So I'll say home. Make sure to click this one to auto import it, then I can close it like that. And now when I save this, we should be able to load our home when I visit our app. So I'll refresh here, and now you see that we have home. Okay, just that. Now I'll go ahead and duplicate these 2 more times. For this one we will have shop, and now right here you just need to include the shop component, and make sure to click this one to auto import it. Then right here I'll have contact, and make sure that you click on contact to auto import it. So I'll go ahead and save, and now at our app here, when I go to stroke shop, we should get shop, and stroke contact, we should get contact. Okay, contact is not working, and the reason is because we didn't include contact here. I'll save, make sure it's working. So there we go. Now the next thing I'll show you is how you can import your own font and configure it in Tailwind CSS. So Tailwind CSS already comes with some pre-configured fonts, and if you go to their website and just search for font here, you can get the different topics here. So I'll just click on any font weight, and then right here now I can see font family at the top, and you'll see that we can use these utility classes. Font sans, we can make use of font serif, we can make use of font mono. So these are the default pre-configured fonts. So if I come to our app here, app.js, and add a class name. So right now, I think it's using font sans, which is this one. Let's try to use font mono. So right here, I'll say font hyphen mono. So if I save that, that font should transform to a mono font. So actually, let me press this to be side by side with my code editor here. And there is a way of, configuring your own utility class. So how to do that? We can just go to Google Fonts right here. So I'll search for Google Fonts, and I'll click on this first option, and the font that I want to add is called Nunito. Okay, so just select the different Nunito font styles. So I have extra right, regular, medium, bold, or even you can choose a different font. It doesn't matter. Then you'll copy this link for the HTML. So I'll copy that, and I'll go ahead and open my HTML file from the public folder, and I'll make sure to paste that before closing the head. Okay, so maybe before the title, I'll paste the link here. So after doing that, we can configure Nunito in Tailwind CSS by going to Tailwind .config file. So we'll go to Tailwind here .config, and just inside the theme, before the extend, we can add font family. So we can say font family. So this is like adding our own utility class for our font, and in here I'll use a tab, and I can say Nunito. You can call it any name, but Nunito will make sense. Then I'll include square brackets, then I'll include our Nunito font. So I'll say Nunito, okay, which is like the usage here, Nunito. Then a fallback will be sans serif. So after Nunito, I'll include a comma, then I'll say sans serif, and I will save. Now with this, we have included this Nunito in our to be one of our utility class for the font. So right here, if I go to app, then change from a mono here to Nunito and save, you'll see this is transforming to Nunito. Now to confirm, if I remove this, it should change to default, and this is the default, so it's transforming. So yeah, this is how we can add our own font in Tailwind CSS, just like that. Okay, now let's start working on our navbar. So for the navbar, we need to create a new file at components, and I'll call it navbar.jsx. So let's go ahead and implement something here. I can say stateless functional component, then I'll say navbar, and right here, let's just say navbar. Now, the first thing that we need to do is to go to our app.js, and we should add the navbar outside the routes. So I'll say navbar. Now on different routes we should have navbar in all of them. If I refresh, we see navbar here. Cool. Now let's start working on it. So right here I'll add nav, then I'll add a class name, and the first thing is that it should be fixed and at the very bottom here. And if you have a doubt of anything and you know CSS, you can just come to this website and search for anything. For example, you can search for position, and if you go to this position, you'll see how to create static position, fixed position, absolute. So these are the classes, these are the properties. So to make our navbar fixed, we just need to add this utility class fixed. Okay, so right here I can just say fixed, and if you start typing something related, it should also like show you something. Now to position it at the bottom, if I start typing bottom, you'll see some utility class, and I'll say bottom 5, meaning okay 1.25 rem. So bottom to be that. So if I come here and save this file, you'll see that this navbar should come at the very bottom. Now it's here. So you can see how easy it is to work with Tailwind CSS. Now we need to move it at the center here, and the first thing that we can do is to increase its width. So for example, if I say BG here, we can set a background color, let it be maybe slate or 400 there. You'll see that it's not all the way to the end. So the first thing that I can do is to say W hyphen. Now this stands for width. If I set it to screen, this means that it is a width of 100 VW, and that will now occupy the entire screen. So now you'll see this moving all the way. Pretty nice. And now with this we can like center our content. Okay, so for example, let's say this navbar is inside a div of navbar, so that now we can be able to make use of flexbox in here. Now to make this a flex container, we just need to say flex, and that will make it a flex container. And now we can like justify the content at the center. So I'll say justify center, and also you'll see it's like at the center now, but I'll also say items center to center everything vertically. So items center. Look, now we have like already positioned our navbar where it's supposed to be. Pretty nice. But now we are making use of icons, and for the icons, first of all, I'll create an array of our different nav items, and then I'll route through them and display them here. So at the top here, I'll go ahead and create a constant. So I'll say const nav items will be equal to an array of items in form of objects. So the first thing that we'll have in this object is a path, and the path, this will be our React Router DOM path. So / will be just home, then we should have an icon. Now for the icon, I'll be getting the icon from this particular website called Hero Icons. Okay, and you should click on this particular button to copy as JSX. Okay, so make sure you click here. Right here you can search for different icons. You can search for home, then when you click on this one, it will copy that as SVG, and you can just paste it here. Okay, so that will be our first nav item. So we need to create a similar thing. So right here we'll have path, and let's have shop. Now for the shop, we can search for, I don't know, cart, and now we have this shopping bag. I'll click on it, and right here I'll say icon to be that SVG. Cool. Then the other one is just contact, so right here I'll say path will be okay. I missed these / right here, so this one will be contact, and all I'll do, I'll search for a mail for the contact. Click on this one, and right here we should have added icon and paste it there. Now right here we have an array of objects displaying the different paths for our nav right here. So all we need to do is to map through them and display them accordingly. So I'll go ahead and remove this, then make use of the curly brackets, and I'll have my nav items, and then dot map. I invoke these. We will have an item at a time, and also we can have the index. Now I'll make use of the arrow function to return some JSX in here. Now what I will return is a nav link from React router DOM. So right here I'll have nav link. So I'll click on this one to auto import it. And in here is where I'll display our item dot icon, okay, which is an SVG. So right here I'll have item dot icon, and also we should include a prop called to, and now this should go to our item dot path. Okay, so item dot path, like that. And also we should have a special key for each of these. So key will be equal to index. And now when I save this, it will auto format, and now this is what we have. And when I check at our app here, now you'll see we have 3 icons, one for home, shop, and contact. Now when I click on home, we get to home. When I click on shop, we get to shop. When I click on this one, we get to contact. So pretty nice. This is already working. Now another cool thing that we can do is that we can be able to add the active state. Okay, so right here we can add a class name, and for this class name, if I do like this, like use the curly brackets, then call an arrow function right here, we can be able to destructure what we call is active plop. And this is active plop is provided by our React router DOM by default. So if right here we have is active, we can be able to perform a check. So if link is active, we can be able to return a certain class name. So we can be able to say, let the text be, let's say, red, and choose a style here. So if the link is active, then let's change the color to red. Else, so right here I'll use a full colon. Let's just have nothing. Okay, so now when I go ahead and save this, you'll see that the active link right here is changing to red. If I click on this one, this is changing to red, this is changing to red. Pretty easy. Okay, now since I want to style them, I'll make use of custom classes. So right here what I can say is an active hyphen state as our class name. Okay, else let's have here an inactive hyphen state as our class name. And all I'll do, I'll save this file, but first of all I'll remove this bg since we no longer need it. Okay, so I'll remove that and save. Cool. Now let's go ahead and create these custom class names. So for that we need to go to index.js file right here. We earlier added these directives. Now the cool thing is that we can select a specific directive and be able to do some custom stuff. Okay, for example, now we'll be able to edit our components directive right here. This is how we do it. We will say at layer, and then we will select our directive, which is components. And now in here we can be able to add our own classes. So for example, I can say dot active hyphen state. So now this is like a custom class. Now in here what we will do, we can apply the different styles. So we should start with the at apply right here directive, and now right here we can be able to add the different styles for when this is active. I can say let margin rate be 8. Then we can select the last element, so I can say last, and we will set the margin right here to be 0. And then we can like change the text color. So right here I can say let the text be red, so I can go with this one. Now the next thing that we also need is, to include an indicator. But before we include an indicator, let me just come right here and I'll say dot inactive hyphen state, and for these styles they will be similar to these ones. Okay, so I'll just copy that and paste here. Let me save first and see what we have. So this is what we currently have. All of them are red, but for the active, for example, if I change this one to, let's say, green, save, now you'll see this one is the one that is green because it's active. This is green because it's active. This is green because it's active. But since we are creating a one color website, then what I want to do is to include an indicator. So for the indicator, we need to use the after pseudo selector. And for the after pseudo selector, I will make use of some utility classes here. So right here I can say let after be block, like that, and then we will have after, and here we will set the height to 2. We will have after again, and we will set the width to 2. So when I save this, I think we should be seeing something. Okay, it's not visible because we need to include the background color for the after. So right here I'll say after the bg hyphen be red. So if I save that now look, we have this indicator here which is now on the active state. Okay, now let's make it pretty and position it nicely. Now right here I'll say after to be rounded, save, and that rounded will now make it to be circular like this. Now we need to position it nicely. Now for us to position it, we will add right here flex property, and then we will add flex to be column, and then now we can like be able to center it. Okay, so right here I'll say items hyphen center. Now when I save that and come back, now you'll see it's at the center, and now we have our indicator for the navbar. Pretty nice. So that was super easy. Now let's add the class names for shop. So for the shop, at the very top we will have a div, and we will add a class name, and right here we'll have h hyphen screen. So this will occupy like the entire screen in terms of height. Then we will flex the item, and we will say items center and also justify center. And then instead of shop here, we can include a h2, and we can now say shop here. Let's add a class name, and for the class name here we'll say let the font be black. So this means that it be super bold. Then we can say text hyphen to be 6xl. This means that this is like a font with like very large font size. So I'll go ahead and click that and save. Now when I go to shop right here, you see this is now super big and it's at the center. Pretty easy. So I'll just copy this, then go to home, and I can paste it. Okay, not home but contact, and I can paste it here. So right here I'll say contact, and I'll save. Now let's add the general styles for app right here. So right here we just said font nunito, but we can add a background gradient to our app plus some other styles. So we'll have text red to be 500, That will be the default. Later on, I'll be showing you how to create a theme switcher, so don't worry. And then right here we can have bg hyphen gradient, and then we can use this to r. And now right here we should include from hyphen, and then we include a color here. I can say red of about 300, and this will create a gradient for our entire background. So I'll save that. When I come now, look, we have a gradient for our site, also home and contact. So from here we should include h to be screen and width to be screen. So if I save this, come back here, you'll notice when I select this text, we have a background of blue, then the color here is white. Now to fix that, we can like use selection for it to match our theme. Remember, this is a one color site. So right here we can say let selection be bg, then you can like set the color for this one. This will be red. Then we can have selection again. This is like a pseudo selector in CSS. Then we can say let the text be also okay, I'll set it to be white. So if I save that, then come back here, you'll see now when I select these, it's red, color is white. Pretty nice. So now I want us to work on our home here, but before we do that, I have added an images folder right here with this particular image, glass of wine. So if you need this image, I'll leave a link to it at the description section below. Cool. I'll start by adding a wrapping div, and inside this div we will have two things. We will have two divs. So the first one will hold the image, the second one will hold the text information. Now let's start by adding the content. So I'll go ahead and add the image. So I'll say img, and the source will be images, and then a stroke glass hyphen of wine, and then .png, and I'll just self-close that and save. We should see it here. There we go. So I have this image of wine, pretty nice. Now the next thing, I add the text info. So inside this div actually, so I'll just go ahead and add it, add everything, and then we will continue from there. So now I have added the content, which is now down here. Pretty cool. Let's style everything so that it looks nice. So now Tailwind CSS utility classes are usually mobile first. So whatever we will do first is to work on our mobile, then we will work on our bigger screens. So right here, let's start with a class name for this wrapping div right here, and we will say h, let it be screen, the height, and then we will flex, and for mobile the flex will be column, and we'll justify everything to the center, and then we can add padding bottom of about 16, so that we have some spacing down here for this one, for our menu to be visible. So I'll go ahead and actually save that, but this image is too big, so we need to fix it. So for that, we can come right here, add a class name, and now right here we will add h to be 1/3. We can come to the image and add its height. So we'll also add a class name for the image, and we will say let h be 100%. So we can use these square brackets to add our own custom value, just like this. Okay, let me save, and now this should be smaller. So you can see on mobile it will be this small. So for the bigger screens, this image should enlarge. So right here we can say MD. So for the middle screen, from the the medium screen and above, we should have a flex here of 1, and then for the height we should increase the height. So MD height should be auto. For a screen that is medium and above, then we should have height as auto, then the flex to be 1, and this will still be 100. So if I save that and move to a bigger screen, this image is bigger, but on mobile mode it's smaller. Okay, cool. And yeah, this should be all about the image. And then for this one, for the parent here, we can as well add for settings for the bigger screen. So all we will do, we'll change MD to flex row, and then we will change the MD here medium screen to be items center. And again, if you want to learn more about responsiveness, just go to Tailwind here and you can search for responsive design, and then you'll see the breakpoints that we have. So we have small to be this one, medium, large, extra large, and so on. Okay, now back here. So right here I'll also add MD to be justify between, and when I save this and move to a bigger screen, now you'll see this is on the side, this is on this side, but on small screen this is down here and this is at the top here. Pretty easy. And all we need now to style is this other section down here for the text. Okay, so let's move here, and first of all we just add the class name, and we should add some padding to it. So padding hyphen of 4 to begin with, and that will create some spacing around our text so that it's not at the very edge. And then we can add some margin to the top of 4 to bring it a bit down as well. So I'll save, brings it a bit down on mobile, but now for the bigger screen we'll add right here flex of 1. So this means that it will occupy the same spacing just like the image here. So I'll go ahead and save this one, and now when I go back to a bigger one like this image is occupying the same spacing as the text. Okay, pretty nice. Now let's go ahead and style this heading here, and we want it to be super bold. So right here you can say let the font be black, so that will make it super bold, but it's still small. So what we can do, we can enlarge the text here to be 4XL, and this will be on mobile. So this is now a bit big, pretty nice, but we should also care for bigger screen. So right here we can say let MD be text, and then we use a hyphen 6XL, more bigger. Then I'll just copy this one, copy that, and right here I can paste it, and I'll now target large screens, so LG. Okay, this should be 8 now. Cool, I'll save, bigger. Yeah, cool. Now the next thing is to obviously style the paragraph here. So I'll just make it to be super bold. So right here I'll just add font of black, just like that. Then let's go to this one. I'll add a class name. Now for this one I'll add font medium, so this will make it to be a bit bold. And then I will add the text to be XL, to be a bit large. And then another thing, I'll add some margin to the top of 4 and some margin to the bottom of 6. all 8. So I'll save that, and now this will create some good spacing at the bottom and at the top. And now we can like style this button right here. Now for this button, let's just add a class name, and we should have some border of 2 right here, and then we should like add a color to it. So I'll say border height right here to be red of 500. Then we should add like font to be bold, so font black, and I'll add some padding to it, so padding top of 1 here, and then a padding bottom of 1, and then a padding left of about 6, and padding right of about 6. Then I'll also like make it to be rounded, so I'll say rounded small and save. And now we have this button right here, pretty nice. And this is all we need to do. When we go to the bigger screen here, now look, this looks way better. And we have these other ones like these. Cool. Now we need to implement functionality for this button. And in React Router DOM version 6, we usually make use of the use navigate hook. So right here, you can just bring it the use navigate hook. So I'll say import use navigate, and this will come from React Router DOM. We should initialize it here. So I'll say const navigate will be equal to use navigate, and I invoke part, and now I can just make use of this navigate on click. So right here we can have an on click event, so on click, and this will be equal to these curly brackets. Right here we'll just call an arrow function which will call navigate, and we can tell this button to navigate to stroke shop. So I'll save, and now when I come and click this button, we go to shop, and you'll see now shop here is active, which is awesome. So now for us to implement the theme, we'll be making use of CSS variables, okay? And for us to like add CSS variables, we will be able to customize our base here. So right here we will now target the base using at layer directive. So I'll say at layer, then base, and then we usually add the variables using the root pseudo selector here, and right here we can add the different CSS variables, okay? So right here I'll start with the text color. So the color for our text will be in a variable, and now when I hover over this, you can see you can be able to like see the values, okay? For example, this is 238 68 68. So you can like just copy these values and paste them right here. So for example, I guess I used 600 if I'm not wrong, and when I hover over this one is 220 38 38. Actually this is what I used. So you can like just copy that color, paste it here, and make use of it here. Now right here we'll also have what we call the fill color. So you can like give them any name. So this will be for the background color, so this will be RGB. So for the fill color, I guess this had a weight of 400, and you can like just copy this one and paste it here. So you get the point. So I'll go ahead and add these different colors. So another thing is that I'll have a color for the indicator. So I'll say fill color, and then here indicator, and I'll add the value to be the same as for the text here. So this is our red theme. Our red theme will be the default theme, okay? Now we need to set up our Tailwind config so that you can be able to make use of these CSS variables. So if I come to Tailwind, now at the extend here, we can be able to manipulate our utility classes. So for example, right here, we can say text color. So we will edit the text color. And now right here, we can add skin. So this is just like, you know, a property for our object. You can like name it anything you want. And right here I can say the base color for the skin, that is now like the text color, will be, we include our variable name here. So this is how we usually read the variable, var, and then double hyphen text hyphen color. Now, amazingly, we can now be able to use these as a utility class. So let me show you how. So for example, we can go to our app. So let's go to app right here. Now, instead of text red 500, we can be able to say text and then skin and then base, and you'll see it's already suggested, and that comes from our Tailwind config here. Okay, and if you like change this to anything, it doesn't have to be base, maybe it can be text. So maybe text skin text. So if I change that to that, you can like now like come here and say text skin, and you'll see it's suggested text. So these names that I'm using here are just like, you know, personal choices. It's not like fixed. Now the point is, we can be able to use that color variable, and when I save these, now the amazing thing is that now it's using the color from our variable here. So if I come here and go to this, nothing changed because our color was already red. So if I change, for example, this one to be another color, let's maybe say here green, so that we get the RGB for this one. It will be 73, 74, 22, and then, okay, I'm having an issue copying this, but I'll go ahead and replace that. I'll go ahead and save. Now it should have changed the text color to green, and there we go. So you can see it's working. Okay, if we change this to green, it's green. If we change it to red here, it's now red. So yeah, so those CSS classes are working, and that is all we need to like do right here. So we need to also configure our background color. So right here you can say background, and what we will do, we will say skin, and we will add two things. So first of all, we'll say fill. Let the background for our entire like web app use this variable var. Then I'll say double hyphen fill and then color. And for the indicator, we will make use of these. So indicator, we'll make use of, actually let me just copy this variable, paste it here, then I'll say fill color indicator for the active state. Okay, now for our background color, now we can be able to say something like bg skin fill. Pretty easy. Now right here we'll also have a configuration for the gradient, okay, because it's kind of different. So right here I'll have gradient, and I'll set the colors. Okay, it's called color stops to be skin. I'll say hue, and I'll set this variable, which is our fill color actually. So I'll copy that and paste it here. So if we made use of bg skin fill on our gradient, that will be, you know, solid. It wouldn't give us the gradient value. So we should like implement these. Now another thing is that for the border colors, for example, for our button, we should edit the colors property here. And what we will do, we will make use of current. So now this should be exactly this. You should specify current color here, and you include the variable here to be our text color. Now we will make use of that for the borders or the strokes. Okay, so this should be exactly this. Okay, cool. So I'll go ahead and save. Now since we have implemented all these variables, configured them on our Tailwind CSS config, we need now to change our application, our entire application, to make use of these variables. Okay, so let's do that. So first of all, at the app, this is the beginning, we change the skin to use the skin base. Then we change now from here. So this is for our gradient. Now this is where I was telling you we should now make use of skin hyphen hue. Okay, so that is why we needed to also set up this one. So if we didn't do that, we wouldn't get that option. Okay, and then now right here we have selection. We don't need to edit that. We can just you can edit if you want, but I'll let it be that way. Index.css file. So we need to edit this here. Now this was for our navbar. So the first thing is this text color. Now we should make use of skin hyphen base, and then the after. So we had this bg red color here, so we should fix these to bg hyphen, we make use of skin indicator. Okay, now the skin indicator is more heavy than the skin fill. Actually, make sure that we made use of skin indicator. I feel like we didn't, so I'll go here. Yeah, indicator, skin indicator. Cool. Now this color here should be text hyphen skin base. And finally, I think where we also made use of a color is at our home, where we had this button. Now this will be border hyphen current. So if we say border hyphen, you'll see we have current here. Now that is for the border, for the stroke. So that is why we also needed to like include colors here and current. So pretty nice. You can see how we have like added our own utility classes and also made use of CSS variables for us to add, all those colors. And now it will be easier for us to add a theme. And Tailwind CSS also makes this so easy. Okay, so if I come to index.js, we can now be able to extend the base again and edit the root. So if we made use of any class right here, we can be able to still edit these variables. Now right here, I'll add different class names, which are actually like our theme. So I'll just paste them because I don't want to keep typing. And we are editing the values of our variables right here. Now, the variables that we have used are also used through the entire, application. So if we change those values for those variables, then the theme of our entire site also changes. And once we do this and add this class at the app here, then it will like override the root, the root variables values. So if I come right here, let me show you some magic. Now, if I come right here and just say, let us have the class theme dark. Okay, if I do that and save and come back to the browser, okay, it's not working. I should have saved this index.css file. Come back, look, now everything changes to that dark color, and the dark color is coming from these variables right here. Okay, so you can like copy the same or you can edit them. If I change that class name to theme purple right here, so if I say theme purple and save, now the entire site will change to purple. Since we have used variables through the entire site, and those variables are initially defined at the root here, but when we include these classes, we are overriding these particular variables values for the root. So this is how we can like work on a theme. Now all we need to do now is to add some buttons and be able to either add or remove these class names depending on which button we have clicked. Okay, and we can do that with the React very easily. Okay, so we can like just come right here at the app. So first of all is to add the buttons. So to add the buttons, we can like style them using Tailwind CSS and also create a separate components are for them. So at the top here, I can add a component. So I can say const theme buttons, and right here I'll set these to be something like this. So we will return a div, and this div will have a class name of absolute. So we want to position this at the very top, so it will be absolute. It will be flex because we will be having 3 buttons. This is like now the parent. Then we will say let right be about 8 here, which is 2 rem, and then top to be about 4. And once we do this in here, now we can like include our buttons. Okay, so we can have like buttons and so on, but we want to style them in form of circles. So actually what I can do, I can just say div right here. So let us have a div, and this div will have nothing, but we'll have a bunch of class names to make it, you know, like a circle. The height of this div, okay, we should use a class name here, and the height of this div will be 8, the width will be 8, then the last div will have a margin of 0, but the rest of the divs will have a margin right of 4, and we will say here rounded to be full, so that it's pure circle. Then the cursor for this one will be pointer. So for the color, for now let's just say let it be BG red, like that. Save. So let's call the theme buttons right here and save. Now we should have it like that. Okay, cool. So we have this button which we can click. Awesome. Now we need 3 of them, and since we don't want to keep styling this again, we can make use of a component. So right here I can say let const theme circle be equal to an arrow function which will return our div here. So I'll just cut this and paste it here, and now instead of, you know, including it directly, I can include that theme circle right here and actually save. Now when I come back, we still have it. Now the cool thing is that I can just duplicate these 2 more times and save, and now we should have 3 of them. Pretty nice. Now we should like dynamically display the background color using props. So right here I can pass the BG as a prop, and what we will include is a BG hyphen red and then hyphen 500. That will be for the red button. Then I'll just copy this one, paste it here and paste it here. Then we can edit the value here to slate, but for straight it will be a bit heavy to be dark, and then for this one will be purple, and we'll set this one to 500. Now we passed these as props, so right here we should like receive the props, and we can like dynamically add this one here. So right here I can say let the class name be that. So I'll include these curly brackets so that I can perform some JavaScript calculations. For example, I can add a plus, and I can now be able to read props.bg. And when I save that, now we have different colors depending on the prop that we pass here. So make sure to include some space right here, else it will not work because it will combine this class name and this one, then it won't work. But include a space here, then save, then that should work. Now we have 3 of them. Cool. Now the next thing is to add functionality to this, and for the functionality we need to make use of the use state hook. So let's bring in use state from React. So I will import use state. These will come from React. Then I can define some piece of state at our app here. So I'll say const theme and set theme, and then right here I'll say use state to be initially an empty string. Okay, and then now this I can like remove this theme purple. Now the cool thing is that even if I add like a div here at the very top and cut this and bring it down here, when I make use of a class name here and say let's say theme hyphen dark, this will still like add that theme. So we should have a dark theme. Cool. Now what we want to do is to dynamically display this theme dark depending on what we have at our theme value. And for us to update this theme value, we need to make use of the set theme function there. So right here we can pass this set theme as a prop to our theme buttons. So I'll say let set theme be set theme. I'll save. Then at the very top here we will pass it again as a prop. So I'll say set theme be equal to set theme, but we should also like receive it via props here. So I'll destructure set theme. Now I'll just like highlight this one. I will cut it. Okay, I'll just copy it, then paste it there, then paste it here. Then I'll like be able to access it via props. Now right here after our class we can be able to add an on-click event. So I'll say on-click, let us call this set theme. So I'll use an arrow function here and we will call props dot set theme. Then I'll invoke it and we can set a value depending on which button we click. That value we will pass it via props. So right here we can just say let the value here be equal to an empty string. I'll copy that and then I'll set the value here to be dark, and then I'll set the value here to be purple. Now when we click a button we can receive that value via props and we can like set it to props dot value. Okay, depending on which button we like click. Now to confirm that this is working, we can like just log this theme to the console. So I can say console.log of theme. Then I'll come to the app and inspect it here. And first of all, I can see we have a lot of issues at the console and it's coming from the SVG. So if I come to NavBar, I should have used the SVG for JSX, and that is why I told you at what is it called, hero icons, you make sure you select these. I think I selected it twice. So if I come home, this is now for HTML, but you should like click to enable copy as JSX. So I should have clicked that so that I copy this one. So I'll update this first and then we'll move on. So I have my SVGs updated. So hopefully if I come here and hit refresh, we shouldn't have those errors. But now at the state you can see we are logging the theme. Right now it's just nothing. When I click red, it's nothing. When I click this, it's dark. When I click this, it's purple. So it's updating that piece of state depending on what we click. So what we can do now, it's just to conditionally render our theme depending on which theme we clicked or which button we clicked. So instead of just saying theme dark here, I'll go ahead and remove it and I'll use this curly brackets, and I'll say if our theme from state is equals to dark, then we will set our theme to be theme hyphen dark. Else if our theme is equals to purple. What we will do, we will set our theme to, okay, theme purple. Okay, if it's not dark or purple, then we'll set it to an empty string. So that will be the default theme, which is red. So I'll go ahead and save, and now our application is done, and this should work. So right now it's purple, but when we refresh, the default is red. When I click this one, it changes to this one. When I click this one, it changes to this one, and it works. And that is how you can also implement a nice theme to your site using Tailwind CSS by customizing or setting CSS variables, and then updating those variables using these class names. Also, remember to configure your Tailwind config here for the colors, background, the gradient, the strokes that include like the border and so on. So I hope you have really learned something from this video. If you have, remember to leave a thumbs up and also support my channel by subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.